What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thanks for clicking on the link. I'm Kairos Crystal, and if you are returning back, it's so good to see you. Listen, in today's video, I'm going to answer this question. Should I give online dating a try, or should I simply wait on God to send me my husband? This was a question that we got from one of our subscribers in the How I Met My Husband video. And I get this question a lot, especially from single Christian ladies. Let me just say this. I'm going to go through a few tips, and I also want to share some scripture with you all as well, because I think that this is an important question, especially for our generation that has access to technology so easily. So here's the first thing that I'm going to suggest for those of you debating on, either side of the fence. Should I do online dating? Should I wait on God? What should I do? First things first, pray, y'all. Okay? Pray and ask God. If there's anything that I have learned in my time of being saved, in my time of just growing with the Lord and understanding his desire for our romantic lives, if you will, it's that he wants to be included. He wants to be included in the decisions that you make. No, that does not mean that God is going to make your decisions for you. But what it does mean is that you seek the Father for what is best for your life. And so the Bible says to us, it's one of my favorite scriptures, that if we lack wisdom, which is simply if we don't know what to do in this situation, if we have been trying things and we find ourselves in unhealthy patterns and like cycles of toxicity, that means that there's a lack of wisdom or lack of instruction and the application of that knowledge for the situation. So before you do anything, right, you can even pause this video, but before you do anything, first pray. First, pray and ask God, Lord, what is the journey that you're taking me on in my dating life? When I was single, I prayed that often. God, I don't understand. God, I thought he was the one. God, he looked like a good potential person. What happened? God, what's wrong with me? All of those questions are questions that we take to God in prayer. And so it is even more important that if you are considering dating online, you just simply pray and ask God, get his approval, get his permission, get his thoughts on the matter. Because I'll tell you this, online dating is not for everybody. It simply is not for everybody. And that's okay. But let me also share this with you. Dating apps, online matchmaking, sliding into somebody's DM, guess what? And anything else, it doesn't equal sin. Just because you're not doing it doesn't mean that it equals sin. Or just because you find sinners there, it doesn't mean that it equals sin. I mean, my goodness, we go to the grocery store with sinners, but it doesn't mean that us shopping at that grocery store equals sin. And so the same idea can be applied to online dating. But first, I want you to pray and ask God, what is his idea for your dating life? What should you surrender to him? Okay, so let's get into this online dating thing. I personally have used dating apps. I have joined social groups on Facebook for singles, like a group of singles all together. Honestly, I met my husband online, and it wasn't through a dating app. It was just through general social media. However, that was that was a tool that God used to bring us together. And so first things first, I truly believe that in this day and time that we're living in, that many more connections and divine introductions are going to be made online. So whether you go online with the intent to date or with the intent to find someone, God can still use that, or whether you don't, right? You could be on LinkedIn and find your boo, right? You could be, I don't know, in any other field or disciplines technological systems, right? And God can introduce you to your future mate. So I want to share with you all that there are two scriptures, and they're really kind of saying the same thing. But I feel so strongly just to share about the fact that being online does not mean that you're not waiting on God, right? When we look at this idea of waiting on God, it's first wise of us to understand and know that when you see the word wait is actually an action word, right? Like it's a verb. It doesn't mean just to sit and kind of twiddle your thumbs. So if you do decide to go through an online dating process, it does not mean that you're waiting on God. Listen, doing online dating doesn't guarantee you a husband. It doesn't guarantee that you'll find somebody. And I think that's why a lot of people become frustrated with it, because they're like, online dating is horrible and it's the worst. And I would never suggest that to anybody. Listen, if you have a green light and a clearance from God to pursue online dating, I say go for it. You never know. Our world is so big, but when it comes to the communities that are created online, it shows us how small the world is too, right? So for example, my husband was 1,700 miles away from where I was currently living, right? How else would we have gotten to know each other if we hadn't met online, right? He wasn't in my normal day-to-day circle of friends. He wasn't in my normal church crew. So there's a chance that we probably would not have come to know each other had we not both been online. But check this. I didn't meet him in the online singles group, right? Initially we met off of Clubhouse, and we were in a singles party together, if you will, the shoot your shot room. But when we started to develop a relationship, that happened on Instagram. That was just generic social media, right? So you have so much access. If you're an individual that's saying, I've seen everybody around town, it's nobody here for me, I would say you might want to give online dating a try, right? If you're the person that says, hey, I'm looking to move anyway, right? I have a desire to grow in my career and I'm going to move, to this region. There's no harm in being a part of a social group or joining a community in that region, because you never know. You never know. Your husband might be there. Okay. So let's talk about these scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12, and then also 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 23. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation version. It's one of my favorites. It says, you say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I am allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything. I must not become a slave to anything. Some other translations say, I will not be mastered by anything. Or I love that in the ESV. It says, but I will not be dominated by anything. Okay, let's look at it in the Message. It says, just because something is technically legal doesn't mean it's spiritually appropriate. If I went around doing whatever I thought I could get by with, I'd be a slave to my whims. And so this verse, and also chapter 10, verse 23, it pretty much says the same thing. It says, you say I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Not everything is beneficial. So here's the point that I want to drive home if you're considering online dating. There's nothing wrong with it, but is it beneficial for you, or will it become your master? Will you become so consumed with, waking up, checking to see if you have a notification from this gentleman? Or will you become so obsessed by swiping left or swiping right that you neglect your one-on-one time with God, or you neglect your other responsibilities in life? That's what I mean when I say first pray and ask God. because some people can't handle online dating. It's too much of a distraction, right? Also, when you pray and ask God, he may simply be like, no, that's not for you, because I have your husband coming a whole entirely different way. So don't even waste your time. Don't even waste your money. I can't begin to tell you how I wish I would have prayed before signing up for eHarmony and Match.com and Christian Mingle and Tinder and Plenty of Fish. And we're not just talking about signing up, y'all. I desired marriage so badly that I spent so much money. I spent a lot of money making unwise decisions because it was something that I wanted so badly, right? And I just knew, like, okay, I've heard other people's stories and testimonies about meeting online, so I'm gonna, find my husband online. And listen, the last thing I'll say before wrapping up today's conversation is just don't box God in or out. Yes, testimonies serve as a beautiful reminder that if God did it for them, he can do it for you. But we have to be careful not to allow the testimonies of others to become commonplace or a cookie cutter for how exactly we want God to bless us as well. Listen, God created the heavens and the earth. He created all of us that you see walking around here. So he's not short of creativity. God is not short of miraculous wonder and the testimony of how he's going to bring you and your mate together. He's not short of that. Testimonies of other divine introductions are just that. They're testimonies to encourage us, to bring us hope, and to renew our faith. But don't put God in a box and say, God, I want you to do it just like that. Don't say, oh, Crystal met her husband in the shoot your shot room, so I'm going to go find me a shoot your shot room and do all the steps that Crystal did to meet her husband. Listen, I wouldn't have been able to recreate my testimony had I written a story myself, right? Like, I got jumbled there because it just blows my mind. And my story is not the only one that blows my mind. But listen, God is in the business of being creative. He's in the business of of pushing you to your purpose and your divine destiny. And your mate is in that line. Your mate is in the line of destiny. Your mate is in the line of purpose. So above all things, pray, and then just believe God. Just believe God. So I just wanted to come on here and share this tidbit with you. Let me say this. If you have tried online dating, if you have found success, or if you're like, I don't even know anymore, put it down in the comments. I want to do an entire series on online dating because I'm telling you all, it's 2022. The days of, meeting people at bars, I don't know if we're at bars or not as Christians, but you get my drift, right? The way that people met before has changed drastically. And I'm not just talking for romantic relationships. I'm talking, some of us are working from home. Our children are going to school from home. Many of us are doing church from home, right? And we're doing it all through this little box, this little screen, right? So I want you to put in the comments, what are your questions about dating online? What are your apprehensions about dating online? Or if you have found success, testify in the comments below. We want to hear them, okay? So everyone, until next time, remember, you are blessed, beautiful, and loved, and God has not forgotten about little old you. I'll see y'all next time. Love you.